Figures show that more than a fifth of councillors in England and Wales have received death threats or have been threatened with violence. The Local Government Association says nearly three-quarters have also experienced abuse, as they call for more to be done to address this issue. Someone who's been on the receiving end of abuse as a councillor is Richard McRae, leader of the Broxtowe Independent Group. Richard, thank you very much for your time on LBC News this evening.
It's my pleasure, and good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you. What's the level of abuse that you've received?
Well, it's quite bad. I mean, it's not a lot of people that do it. And, you know, the most of the people are genuine, nice people. They're out there, they support you, you support them, you help each other. So I wanted to make that clear. But you do get an element that just absolutely, I don't know what the word is to use. I had a lot of abuse off a lady that was also giving abuse to Daniela Westbrook, and one of my friends that sadly passed away, and she ended up getting a 3-year prison sentence for it. So it's a serious thing, and the courts, you know, eventually can send people to prison for it. But yeah, it does get quite bad, and it's a lot worse than when I spent years being a doorman.
Well, I was about to say, you know, you've been at the front line as a doorman, and you're saying that the abuse as a councillor is worse. Why is that? Is it because it goes to your heart more because you're doing a vocational job and it stings more?
I think social media's got a lot to answer for, because social media kind of wasn't a thing when I was a doorman, but it is now. So perhaps doormen do get some abuse online and that. Do you know what I mean? I don't know, because it's not something I do anymore. I did it for years. I loved it. I don't do it anymore. But as a councillor, yeah, I would say it's not face-to-face. People are cowards, keyboard warriors. I get more abuse and not nice stuff from fellow councillors than I do from residents, which I think is quite sad, because at the end of the day, you're all there to try and help each other. Let's work together is my motto. But online it's not nice online, and it does get to you sometimes. It really does.
Hang on a minute, Richard. You're saying that you get abuse from other councillors?
Yeah, that's the thing. It happens. You know, you get. You know, you can sit in a meeting with people. You don't have to agree with each other, do you? But you don't. You're all there, whether, you know, there's X amount of you sat around the table. Of course, you're going to have different opinions. You're going to have different views. But at the end of the day, my attitude is, you're lucky to be elected, because you are. Lots of people have put their faith in you, which I think is amazing. You're there making difficult decisions at times. You don't have to all agree with each other, but you don't have to be horrible to each other. Do you remember not a few years ago when everyone used to say, be kind? What happened to that?
Well, it's still a thing, I think. Start the hashtag again. It might work. I don't know. But I'm intrigued now, because you're in the same boat. I'm telling you that, well, you know the story, but the headline is more than a fifth of councillors in England and Wales have received death threats, and there's also figures to suggest that there is abuse. And you're telling me that a lot of it comes from your colleagues. You're all in the same boat. You're all there vocationally trying to do better for your community.
Yeah, it's sad, isn't it? And like I said, you can have a difference in opinion. You don't have to agree with each other. That's why you vote on things. But my attitude is, you sit in the room, you have your meeting, you talk about what you're talking about, you come out. You should all just carry on helping the people in the community. But sadly, again, you know, there's lots of councillors out there. It's only a few like that, like it's only a few residents. But some of the stuff is not nice at all.
Well, okay. I mean, it's got to be broadcastable. I mean, what can you give us an example that you can actually tell us that we can put on the radio? Because this is live, by the way, just to remind you. I mean, is there an example?
I mean, you get all kinds of threats. There's nothing I can pinpoint. Okay. I mean, I know another councillor that when I was in a meeting, not a meeting talking about what we're talking about now, and they'd had, you know, people had threatened to petrol bomb the house, people had threatened the kids and stuff like that. And I thought, just because you don't agree with them, and you've seen it on the recent, you know, the riots and all that lot, people have got difference of opinions. I'm like, we're adults. Can't we just sit down and talk about our opinion? Because do you remember that thing with Joe Cox where they say, you know, we're more alike than we're not, aren't we? Or whatever. Yeah,
I appreciate what. Yeah, no. And of course we've had, you know, the terrible death of David Amos as well, you know, a year ago. What help are you looking for? What needs to be done? What do you think can be done? Or is it just one of those things that the genie's out, not the genie's out of the bottle, but you know what I mean? I can't think of the expression, but it's there now. And
Social media, the people that run it, instead of thinking how much money they can make and all that lot, there's got to be more. Like, I've reported things, and I'm sure many hundreds of other people have, and you get a reply back, it doesn't go against community standards, it can stay there. Then you'll see comments that's blatantly racist, as an example, and they stay there, and then you'll see something that's really silly that you're like, it's a bit of a joke and that, and a bit of fun, that will get deleted. So I think social media's got a big part to play in it.
What do you think of people who say, "Oh, come on, Richard, it's hurty words"? Because there are people also who will say that.
No, of course, and that is a thing, but they're not at the other end of it. When I'm all up for people saying, "Richard, you're not doing a good job as a councillor." I try my best, and I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that go, "You're rubbish." I get that, and I accept that, but it's when you're getting threats and stuff, it's a different level, because there is people there that will do it, that will carry out these threats. It's scary.
And just finally, I've said, there's been an increase of 73% in the past year. Would you say that correlates with your experience?
I mean, I don't know, because I know lots and lots of councillors, and I've sat in rooms where we've spoke about debate, not hate, and some councillors said, I've never had any abuse. And I'm like, good, I'm glad you haven't. Up here, there's a certain person, and I won't say where.
No, don't, please don't.
They've set up a social media page, and it's pure hate, and most of it's aimed at the independent councillors. So I've got a feeling that that's backed by another political party, but I'm not going to say who.
No, don't. But just finally, I mean, do you fear for your life? Does it make you scared? Does it make you sleepless at night?
It doesn't make me like that. It's more, I think your stress levels go up, your anxiety. I've had panic attacks and stuff like that, which it's not nice, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody. But I think, yes, you've got to have a thick skin to be a councillor, but I just think it probably puts good people off doing the role, because if they see what happens to others. And I think, let's go back to what we said at the beginning. If we all be kind to each other, it's a better world, isn't it?
And we'll leave it on that note. Councillor Richard McRae, leader of the Broxtowe Independent Group, thank you so much for your time. More than a fifth of councillors in England and Wales have received death threats is the headline today. That was Councillor Richard McRae, one-time bouncer, getting more abuse online than did face-to-face working the doors. Thank you very much, Richard McRae, here on LBC News. Let's get close to 5, talking about storm.